Today's episode is sponsored by Spartan Chemical Company. Family owned and operated since 1956, Spartan Chemical is a leading manufacturer of superior and cost-effective specialty chemical products sold through select, trusted distributors. Spartan Chemical makes clean simple. For more information, please visit spartanchemical.com. One of the most challenging aspects of running a cleaning company is finding quality employees. You do all you can to find the best people, and sometimes you can't find anyone at all. Is working with an independent contractor a solution? That's the question of the day for this episode of Straight Talk. And to help with this, I welcome Laura Bianchini, an account executive with Moody Insurance, a firm that works with ISSA and provides coverage for members. Laura, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate being here and working with the members.
Yes, an important topic today. Well, Laura, let's dig right into it because those watching, they're in business, they need help. Why should our members consider working with a subcontractor?
So as people are growing their businesses, they may get some work in that they're not able to handle on their own. They may just be too busy, but they're not at a point where they can hire their own employees. So sometimes working with a subcontractor is the way to go. It could also be a situation where somebody is working in a new field and they have an existing book of business and they have existing employees, but they're not specialized in a certain industry that they're heading into. So it might be that they're working with a contractor for that aspect as well.
Now, there must be some legal considerations when deciding to use a subcontractor. Can you get into that?
Absolutely. When you're working with these subcontractors, you want to make sure that they have their own insurance policies and that you have very specific language that you can put together with your attorney. You should always work with your attorney, your insurance advisors, your CPAs, everybody that's in your close circle that you would call if you had questions. The reason for it is sometimes if you don't have a contract in place and a claim should come through, especially on these policies, it may not be covered. So you want to set yourself up ahead of time. If you're even planning to use subcontractors, talk to everyone, make sure that you have what you need. If you need help, need sample wording, sample documents, everyone's there to help you.
Okay, so you do all this, you set yourself up to follow the rules. What about your clients, those you're cleaning for? Should you tell them about your subcontractors? And if so, what would you tell them?
Technically, I never do that. So you want to become the one-stop shop for someone where if they have a need, they're coming to you for it. And truly, if you are subcontracting, the contract is going to be between you and your client. It's not going to be between you and a subcontractor. And many times, either a homeowner or even businesses can be put off by the fact that you're using a subcontractor without the understanding of it. So it's not a bad thing. It's just that we want to make sure that we're doing things properly ahead of time. But I would not bring that up.
Great advice. Yeah, I was wondering about that. I think on everyone's mind is the IRS. They're probably looking at businesses to see if they're classifying their workers as employees or independent contractors. What are they looking for?
So basically, they're looking to see if you're giving any type of direction in the relationship that you have with a contractor. So the IRS says that you are not supposed to be giving any direction on what to do, when to do it, where to buy supplies, who's going to be performing the work, the background that's needed for the people that are performing the work. So basically, you're supposed to be able to request the insurance coverage that you're requiring. And then people are supposed to be able to go out and do a job. The fact is that many subcontractors, that's not how it works, right? So what the IRS is doing, they're saying they're starting to look at these relationships very closely. And they're saying, if you have a person that's working with you, we want to make sure that if they're working for you and working at your disposal, your schedule, your time, your everything, they could more or less be classified as an employee. And it's the same thing that they would look at is if that person, that subcontractor, is not working for anyone else. So the big goal with a subcontractor is subcontractors can work for anyone. But we find in many situations that over the years, especially when the healthcare reform came through, that owners were subcontracting work because they didn't want to pay benefits, right? Benefits are super expensive. And a lot of times what you offer for one, you have to offer for all, depending on what state you're in. So what they were trying to do is work with subcontractors to get away from that. What the IRS is saying, hey, we're not getting our dues and taxes. We're going to go back after this. We're not getting enough money that's being put back into these employee funds. And they're starting to look at things pretty closely. So make sure that you have these agreements in place ahead of time.
The IRS could be a scary thing. They get on your trail.
Very. You
Yeah.
don't want to deal with them very often.
No, good advice. And that's something to consider for sure. Now, let's dig into something that is 100% your expertise as an insurance carrier. What do people like you or those you represent look for with those working with subcontractors?
Absolutely. So what I tell my subcontractors, or my general contractors is what we call them, that are working with subcontractors, is we help them with the language that's needed as far as the contracts go, right? You want to make sure that your subcontractors are providing coverage that's similar to yours. So the liability, the workers' compensation, we look at limits, we look at auto, but some of the more important things that we look at can be bonding and different things. So many times our programs have broader coverage than what maybe a subcontractor has available. And the trick is with this, when a claim comes through, you would think that the subcontractor's policy comes into play. But a subcontractor, if they don't have as broad a coverage as you, and maybe they have things that are excluded, their policy could say, nope, null and void, not paying it, which means your policy is null and void for that incident. So I tell people you do want to look at this stuff prior to make sure that they have the coverage that's needed, the verbiage that's needed, that they're listing somebody as an additional insured, so that you're not picking up the costs either for insuring them if they don't have their own coverage. But the biggest thing when these claims are coming through, you want them covered. It's your name with your client that you're combining together. So when they're coming back after, they're not going to go after your subcontractor for work that you signed on to do. So that's where the catch is, to make sure that you have the proper coverage in place.
Okay. My last question, I'm just thinking about, as if I have a cleaning company and I'm an ISSA member, I want you to help me because there's so much to consider here. So tell us, how can we reach out to you? What can you do for our members, and what should they do now?
Absolutely. So for a regular contractor, I can actually set them up with insurance policies. And if I write the subcontractors, or they require the subcontractors to come through us, we can actually do quotations. And what I've done in the past is, if somebody goes into a cancellation status that's a subcontractor, I let my general contractor know, just, hey, give you a heads up, this is in cancellation just in case. Because the wording that the insurance companies use is they'll endeavor to give somebody notice, which doesn't always mean that it's going to happen. So if you don't have a subcontractor that's insured, all of that risk can fall under you as a general contractor, as a business. So anybody that needs some help, they're welcome to reach out to me. The best way to reach me is on my cell phone. It's 301-919-8010. My email address is L, and then it's Bianchini. It's B as in boy, I-A, N as in Nancy, CHINI at moodyinsurance.com. And please feel free to reach out.
I'll put all that below so people can see it. You spelled it
That'd be
out.
great.
There's no way they can't get to you. So
That's great.
Laura, thank you for your time today.